So when you and I first spoke, we talked about the Exhibitor Education Manifesto, right? You wrote this manifesto to kind of explain what exhibitor education is, what it isn't, and kind of why it matters. So let's start there because I'm a firm believer in exhibitor education, right? I think the more tools, resources, and knowledge that exhibitors have, especially young ones and people new to it, the more valuable they are to their own organization and the better results they're going to ultimately get, which is what trade show is all about. So tell us a little bit about the Exhibitor Education Manifesto.
A little bit of backstory on how I came to write that. It started as just a blog post and podcast episode on the importance of exhibitor education. And that actually stemmed from the Center for Exhibition Industry Research. CEIR had put out a report on how the exhibit dollar is spent. And the breakdown was that exhibit staff training came in absolute dead last at 1% or less. And so I was talking in my blog post and podcast about the importance of why exhibitors need education. And it's something that shouldn't just be, just kind of thrown down at the bottom of the heap or the last thing on the list, but it's really important. Well, that actually then sparked, for some reason, controversy online. I had another blogger that just lit into me, and I had a lot of people just talking about, well, exhibitors they should know what they're doing, and they're sending your sales staff and they know how to work a trade show and all this. And I thought, wow, this is really amazing that this is creating controversy about what people need to know these things. I mean, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I'm still encountering exhibitors, some of whom have been exhibiting for many years, and they still are clueless about a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I created this manifesto about what exhibitor education is, what it isn't, and why all exhibitors really need to be better educated. And so, some of the things that I'm not talking about training your sales staff on how to be good salespeople. Obviously, no, they should be getting that training elsewhere. But teaching them how to interact in the booth, how to behave in the booth. I mean, anybody who's walked a trade show recently knows that there's a lot of bad behavior that goes on the show floor. And, exhibitors, exhibit staff is standing there, on their cell phones or talking to each other instead of the audience. There's so many things they're doing wrong. And that's what exhibitor education is so important. But it also goes all the way back to what to do before the show. And, I do a lot of exhibitor consultations, and I still see exhibitors that, they don't understand that it's their job to promote. They think that all the promotion comes from the show organizer and they don't need to do anything. And, there's just so many issues, and it's just something that shouldn't be overlooked.
I think one of the things that I always tell our clients or even anybody in the trade show on the space, on the corporate side, something I always say is like, you have to squeeze all of the juice out of the fruit that is trade shows when you're exhibiting. And there's so many areas, there's so many sections, little specific niches and things that you can do to get the most out of your trade shows. I think it lines up perfectly with kind of what we're talking about here.